It was late evening on a quiet city street. The sun had just dipped below the horizon, leaving the sky painted in shades of orange and purple. A black man named James Carter was driving home after a long day at work. He wore a crisp suit, his tie neatly done, and a calm focus in his eyes. To most people, he looked like a professional heading home to his family, but to one officer parked at the corner, James looked like a target. The white officer, Officer Miller, narrowed his eyes the moment James's car passed by. Instead of seeing a hard-working man, he saw suspicion. Without hesitation, Miller turned on his lights and sirens, pulling James over. James slowed, calmly parking on the side of the road. He rolled down his window and rested his hands visibly on the steering wheel. He had been through situations like this before. Miller approached, his hand already near his holster. "License and registration," he barked, his voice sharp and impatient. James gave a polite nod. "Of course, officer." "They're in the glove compartment." I'm reaching slowly, but Miller's tone only grew harsher. "Keep your hands where I can see them. Don't try anything." James paused, then carefully handed over his documents. His movements were steady, controlled, and respectful. Still, Miller sneered. "Nice car you've got here. Doesn't really look like something you should be driving. Where'd you get it?" James raised his eyes, calm but firm. "I work hard for what I have, officer." "Is there a problem with my registration?" Instead of answering, Miller stepped back and called for backup, as though James were already guilty of something. Soon, another patrol car pulled up, lights flashing. Onlookers began to gather, whispering and watching. James could feel the sting of prejudice heavy in the air. He wasn't just being pulled over. He was being judged for who he was, not what he had done. One of the younger officers looked uneasy. He leaned toward Miller and whispered, "Maybe we should just check his license and let him go." But Miller shook his head. "No, guys like him always have something to hide." The words cut deep. James had faced discrimination before, but tonight, something inside him stirred differently. He remained silent, steady, and calm. After nearly 20 minutes of unnecessary delay, Miller finally snapped. "Step out of the vehicle." James did as he was told, standing tall, his suit catching the glow of the streetlights. The crowd's murmurs grew louder. Some pulled out their phones, recording the unfolding scene. "Empty your pockets," Miller ordered. That was the moment James knew it had gone too far. He looked Miller directly in the eyes, not with anger, but with quiet authority. "Officer Miller," he said evenly, "you may want to reconsider what you're doing." Miller scoffed. "Oh, really? And why's that?" James reached calmly into his jacket and pulled out a leather badge holder. He flipped it open and the gold emblem gleamed under the flashing police lights. "Because I am James Carter, head of internal affairs." The entire street went silent. Even the air seemed to freeze. Miller's face drained of color as he stared at the badge. The younger officers immediately straightened, their postures stiff with shock. James continued, his voice steady but heavy with meaning. "My job is to investigate misconduct within the department, and tonight I've witnessed it firsthand." The murmurs in the crowd turned into gasps. Some people clapped quietly. Others shook their heads in disbelief at what they had just witnessed. Miller stammered, "Sir, I didn't know. I was just—" "You were just assuming," James interrupted firmly. "You saw me and decided I was guilty before I ever spoke a word. You judged me not by my actions, but by my skin." Miller's lips trembled. His arrogance had evaporated, replaced by shame. James stepped closer, lowering his voice so only the officers could hear. "This isn't just about me. It's about every man and woman you've stopped and treated this way. It ends tonight. Do you understand?" The younger officer nodded immediately. Miller hesitated but finally whispered, "Yes, sir." James studied him for a moment, then straightened his shoulders. He could have had Miller arrested on the spot. He could have destroyed his career in front of everyone. But instead, James chose a different path. "Learn from this," James said firmly. "Your badge is meant to protect people, not target them. If you want to wear it with honor, you must treat everyone with respect. No exceptions." With that, James tucked his badge away and returned to his car. The crowd broke into quiet applause as he drove off into the night, leaving Officer Miller standing in stunned silence. The next day, news of the event spread quickly. The video taken by bystanders went viral, sparking discussions about fairness, accountability, and justice. Many praised James not only for his position, but for the dignity with which he handled the situation. Officer Miller requested a private meeting with James a week later. This time his head was bowed and his voice was soft. "I was wrong," he admitted. "You didn't deserve how I treated you. No one does. I've already started mandatory training, and I want to do better." James looked at him carefully, then offered a small nod. "That's the first step. Change begins when we face our mistakes." The two men shook hands, not as enemies, but as people beginning a journey toward understanding. The story reminds us all. Prejudice blinds us, but respect opens our eyes. Hate divides, but kindness heals. We are all equal as human beings.